when I go to London to see my mom, she always cooks for us,
Mm.
and she's like, "Oh, please tell Sophia to come and join me in the kitchen." I'm like, honey, go and I can. Oh, no, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it like that.
What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is really cool. It's very different to what I've done before. I had a video call with a fellow South African who lives here in Finland. We met about a year, 2 years ago, and so I got him on a video call and we just chatted. His name is Raz, or he would say Razzle Dazzle. He's a fighter, an MMA fighter. He's really an incredible person, and I appreciate his friendship. So I thought it would be fun to have him on a call and to just chat about things about Finland and culture and race, because I'm so used to doing these sort of videos where I talk straight to the camera. So I thought this was a good opportunity for you to see me think off the top of my head, A few things. Number one, this was my first time doing a Zoom call recording. So the audio it's not the best I've heard, and I'm so sorry about that. If you can stomach the fact that the audio is not so great, I think you might have a good time in the conversation or listening to the conversation. I definitely know what I'm going to do better next time in terms of audio. But please let me know what you think about the conversations below, about the conversation below. If you enjoy the video, leave a like and subscribe to my channel. We're almost at 2,000 subscribers, which would be absolutely amazing. And let me know if what you kind of think about this format, because it's pretty different, right? Yeah, so I'm quite intrigued. I want to know what you guys think. But yeah, roll intro. So how did your black ass get to Finland? And what was your first thoughts? Like, did you visit first before moving here permanently, or like what was it like for you?
So actually, I visited first, and that was in 2017. Uh, at that time, Sophia and I were not married yet, so it was more like, kind of still introducing each other to each other's families, so to speak. So, booked the tickets to get here. And when I first got here, I have to say, I haven't experienced any culture shock in terms of traveling to any countries, just because growing up, you know, because of the nature of my parents' jobs, we used to travel a lot. So, the whole aspect of meeting different people and experiencing different cultures doesn't really like shock me so much.
Right.
But I've never really been this far out in the world, like really up north. Like this is quite far, if you know what I'm saying. So, first time coming here was during summer of 2017. I believe it was sometime in June or I'm not sure now. It was maybe August, but I remember at that time it was recorded as one of the hottest summers that Finland has ever experienced. So when I got here, I literally stepped off the plane. I was like, oh my God, like
When it was
it's not
too
this
hot?
crazy. It was way too hot. It was like, what, 33, 35 on some days. Like it was pretty hot. Um, it was very hot, bro. Like it was one of those, especially coming from South Africa where it was like kind of winter-ish getting
Yeah.
there, So I got here and the first thing that shocked me was how green it was. I mean, that was one of the things that I noticed. I'd never really heard much about Finland or spoken much about it or spoken to anybody about it, for that
Right.
matter. But when I did get here, it was like, wow, this place is actually really beautiful. And then the second thing that hit me was the language. Everywhere that I was, it was like mumble, mumble, mumble. I mean, the language is, like, I've never heard anything like it. You know, even as an English speaker, if you hear someone speaking German or English, you can kind of like, you know,
It's similar in some sort of
yeah,
ways.
yeah, you can pick one or two things up, even Spanish and Italian. I dabble, you know, if I really just like, you know, but Finnish was just so different. It was like nothing like I've ever heard. So, you know, I didn't even consider trying to learn any words during that period because I was like, there's no way I'm gonna
I'm,
learn how to say.
I'm going to pause you for a second. I'm actually hearing that I'm getting some feedback when I talk.
Okay.
So you were saying about Finland being super green and whatever. Where are we living in the mud in South Africa? What's going on?
I'm trying to not get canceled. I'm not gonna get canceled. Not today, right? No. You know, it's just I think here they probably have a better plan for you know, when it comes to considering things environmentally and sustainability and all that kind of stuff. Like they
Yeah.
actually really put effort. I mean, when you're in South Africa, how often is it that you see recycling going down? Like, do you see it happening? Like they here, bro, they have 4 different bins for stuff. You know, back home is just one, and you put everything in there. You know, so I mean, not to say in the suburbs of South Africa they do recycle, but I'm just saying, like, you know, it's
No, I
not
think
really. Yeah, it's a cultural thing, I would say.
and I think something that should be noted, I guess, is
I said something.
No, it's nothing hectic. I was just gonna say, like in South Africa, it's a lot more mountainous. Like there's a lot more mountains and that sort of stuff, and a lot of because to be honest, when I first moved here, that was the first time I saw so many trees in one place. Like I didn't. No, I mean like there is like forest kind of areas in South Africa, but it's in like the areas where you find those are so far out. Like you have to drive really far to get to some of these sort of
or like you have to pay to get into one of them. Like remember Kirstenbosch Gardens?
Oh yeah.
Like you have to pay like a little bit of money to get in there, but that's like located at Table Mountain National Park, I think, or something like that.
Yeah. So tell me, bro, like, do you miss living in South Africa?
Yeah. You know,
What do you miss about it?
I miss being around, you know, and not to say that the culture here isn't rich in its own ways, but I miss being around, you know, rich cultural environment where there's an incomparable amount of social interaction, much more than there is here. And this is something that I, you know, try to explain to a lot of my, you know, Finnish buddies whenever we get drunk together or something. We go to a bar and they're like, so what's it like? What are the differences between living here and living in Finland? And one of the first things, of course, is always explaining, like, you know, in South Africa, let's just say, for example, ladies, you know, the African ladies, when they are in the kitchen, no man would dare step in there when they're having a conversation and doing their thing, because that is like going into a wolf's den.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get torn to shreds, you know. But it's just like the closeness that they have there. You know, there's no this idea of having your own personal bubble as much as there is here. I mean, here they even crack jokes about standing at a bus station, and there has to be like, I mean, COVID was happening here before COVID actually happened.
Yeah.
Social distancing, you know. So I miss that. I also miss just like, you know, the ability to just like be in an environment where you can express yourself fully without having to be under the influence of alcohol.
If I'm trying to put what you're saying in a bullet point, are you just saying there's a lot more like like these culturally motivated connections in terms of like where I know it might sound a bit weird nowadays, like in Europe, but in South Africa, a lot of the women do the cooking and like, and it's part of the, well, I'm talking more about the African culture within South Africa, like the African culture, not. And doesn't happen in Cape Town in certain areas, I don't think. But,
no, it doesn't.
But is that what you're saying, like in terms of that, the something that you're familiar with and that kind of vibe when they're cooking, you go in the kitchen and you talk, like, is that?
Yeah, it's more like I'd say it's super social, like, and it's nothing going against gender neutrality and gender equality and any of those things, just to gotta put it out there. This is a cultural thing. This is our culture, and nobody is being forced into these situations. I grew up in an environment where I saw my mother happy being in the kitchen and cooking for us. And occasionally he's like, "Oh, son, come and see what I'm doing." I'm like, "Wow, mom, that's good." That's where the whole idea of nobody can ever beat mother's cooking.
Yeah.
Ever, because it's the same thing today. When I go to London to see my mom, she always cooks for us, and she's like, "Oh, please tell Sophia to come and join me in the kitchen." I'm like, honey, go and oh, no, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it like that. I understand how that looked, but that's not what. Yeah. Stop it. Stop instigating. Let me oh my God. The worst.
That is.
Oh God.
That was. Oh my God. That is the funniest.
I have tears in my eyes.
And bro, don't worry. I know everyone knows what you mean, but the way it was, come honey. Go. That is so funny.
Shit.
Oh.
Oh shit! I think my blood just shaking. I think my heart rate is really up.
That is just so funny, but it's kind of crazy how I mean, it's fine. I think from this point on, we can stop trying to be politically correct. Okay, everyone watching this, we're just talking and having fun. So we're not going to try to qualify anything we're saying. We're just chatting. So it's fine. Don't worry. Everyone understands. So continue.
Okay, good. Yeah, because, I mean, dude, it's hot up in here, bro.
Yo.
Yeah,
man, but that was too funny, man.
No, I was to say. It's like I had to put it like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just
Yeah.
what happens.
But I think, and I'm speaking off the top of my head here, because a lot of the time, cultural phenomena, like cultural things, especially in the African culture, are very linked to like, genders, like your sex. Like it's very there are certain things that women do in the African culture and certain things that men do. And of course, over time, things are getting a bit different and whatever. But in general, some of those cultural things are a part of our culture. Whereas in here in Finland, and in a lot of places in Europe, I feel like a lot of the cultural things, some still stick around. I think a few things like here in Finland, where you get baptized or something when you turn 15. I forgot the name of that whole ceremony. Or not baptized, confirmation or something.
Confirmation. Yeah, like confirmation.
Yeah, like some of those things stick around, but in like back home, a lot of the cultural things within the African communities are still quite strong, for better or for worse sometimes.
Yeah, like there's some things, of course, that I don't agree with when it comes to African culture. And when I say African culture, I'm not just talking about one particular. There's like, it's very diverse. There's a very diverse selection of cultures in Africa, varying from country to country. Kenyans have their own things. And then within Kenya also there's different cultural differences also. You get the Maasai tribe that have a different thing going on, and then you get the Kikuyu tribes, and then you go all the way to Zambia, and then it's different. And I'm only speaking like this because I've lived in those countries as I was growing up, so I have taken it upon myself to actually understand, voluntary and non-voluntary, to understand these cultures, living in these countries. So when I make these comparisons, I look of the common ground of the things that at least I agree with, and I try to speak more about that kind of stuff. So that people understand, not to generalize that, African culture backward, this, that, they don't understand, you know what I'm saying? It's like all the women being forced into the kitchens and stuff, like, it's not about that. There's a whole background behind that. Like I was trying to say, my mother has a pretty high up position in the company that she works for. She's the most progressive woman that you could possibly meet. Pretty tiny too. But when it comes to, being amongst family members and being herself and embracing her cultural, identity, she is who she is, and she accepts it with love and happiness. And that's why when she cooks, I'm a big believer in feeling the energy in foods that are prepared by people. I feel so much love in my mother's cooking, and probably that's why it tastes so much better than my wife's cooking. But anyway,
I'm totally gonna tell Sophia.
Sophia,
just know, Raz, he's causing rubbish.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
Sorry about that, everyone. We had to take a little break because apparently you have to pay for Zoom to be longer than 40 minutes long, which is crazy. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But man, so to get back to what you was
I'm gonna do it.
To get back to what you were just saying, I think you were just making a point that culture is so important that you miss home or South Africa because of it.
Yeah, and I think the same would go with anybody else, really. If you are no longer in or surrounded by an environment that makes you feel, at home, that feeling of really feeling at home in your country of being your country of residence. And, I think even the Finns will feel it. No matter where you are in the world, you always feel like when you get back to your home country, it's going to be like, I kind of miss this place.
No, I completely get you. And how long did it take for you to start missing South Africa when you got here? Because you said you didn't feel any cultural shock moving here. So
No, no. What I did notice was the cultural differences, but to be shocked, I think I've been very numb to the shock for quite a while, just because of what I had mentioned earlier. But you know, it took me maybe about 2 years to really start thinking about, you know, and I can tell you the exact moment it happened. We were in boarding, and it was after having a conversation with my mother about some food that she had just prepared. And I realized, oh my goodness, I actually haven't had pup, which is an African dish, um, you know, in quite a while. And I started searching for it. That was the first dilemma. I couldn't find it in Pore. You actually have to travel to an entirely different city to find that stuff. And even so, you have to know exactly where to find it in the city that you're going to, which is Helsinki. You know, so you have to be kind of connected. So facing those difficulties was a little irritating for me. The second thing was doing my hair. You know, let me just say that I have never felt so ripped off in my life, ever. You know, in South Africa, let me just do some quick conversions in my mind. In South Africa, to like, let's say if my hair was in braids, to undo the braids, wash my hair, and condition it and treat it and make it healthy again, and then blow dry it, and then do it again, that would cost maybe about 350, 400 rands tops. That's the equivalent of like maybe 20 euros. When I came here, I found myself a hairdresser in Tampere. Once again, I had to travel to a different city for this.
You had to travel to Tampere to get your hair.
Yeah. And let me tell you this, I didn't, I'd already done everything. I'd undone the hair, I'd washed it, I blow dried it. It was all you needed to do was just braid it.
Mm-hmm.
I got charged, I think it was close to like 200 euros for this.
No.
Bruh. So now I'm just thinking, maybe I miss South Africa a little bit. Yeah, so those are some of the things that I was just like, you know, processing in my mind, and just kind of like seeing the socioeconomic differences between South Africa and Finland. Of course, in terms of economic well-being, I feel like it's better to be here in Finland, because, you know, if you end up unemployed, you know, the government will take care of you and stuff like that. I can't really say the same about South Africa, because the government there, due to corruption, pockets all the taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
But the same amount of taxes that are paid there is pretty much close to the same amount of taxes that you pay here. It's just that here they know how to allocate the taxes in the needed places appropriately.
Yeah, that's like knowing some of those things it can be a little discouraging sometimes, because you're like, because obviously you love where you're from, but sometimes you look at where you're from and what they're doing and you're like, ew.
Yeah, it's disappointing and it's embarrassing, you know.
And having said that now, like seeing how bad things are in South Africa in terms of poverty and all this sort of stuff, and even in places like America, which is supposed to be a first world country, what do you think, how is Finland, like, I don't think a lot of Finnish people understand just how well this country is run in comparison to a lot of other countries, like in terms of healthcare. And of course, you can always find something to complain about. But I'm saying, like, in general, even here, like in South Africa, if a friend calls me and it's like, yo, I'm battling with money, I need some help, I know they've got no food in the fridge. And they
that's a pretty serious situation, you know?
Yeah, here, if someone's like, yo, I need help, they're like, yo, I can't go to Spain this year or something.
Oh, dude,
I'm,
shut that.
I'm kidding.
Real
Okay, yeah.
I know what you mean. Though.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. It's like here, help is readily available. Like what I said earlier, if you find yourself unemployed, you will get support. Uh, and they have a range of support programs, from rental support to, different kind of support benefits, unemployment benefits. I mean, to my knowledge, I think they have like maybe 3 or 4 different kind of support benefits. There's the student support, and then there's the Kela support, and then there's the really like low down support, which is like Sosu, which is like, I'm sure you've heard about
Wait, what is it called?
Sosu.
Okay.
Ask somebody about it here in Finland, you'll know, and they'll tell you that's like when you're really like really, but you still get something, and you on top of that you get rental support. So imagine you getting like maybe on Sosu you're getting like 600 euros or 500 euros a month, just for groceries and stuff. And then you're getting rental support also. So maybe you might just have to pay like 200 euros or 100 euros, depending on where you're living. And then the rest is for you to spend. And then on top of that, here, the other thing is you'll never find anybody begging for food outside. I've never seen that. Here, nobody is ever going to go hungry because there's places where you can find food. They can give you like, I think, food tickets or something like that.
Yep.
And you can go get yourself groceries. So the difference is just so huge between here and Finland. And I think a lot of the time, the reason why people cannot see how privileged they are is because they haven't seen the other side of life.
Yep.
That's pretty much, that's it. It's just exposure, and I think a lot of the solutions to the problems that we're having today, whether it's racism or these identity or identity conforming debates and arguments. I think it's just about exposure and understanding of the cultures. Because imagine if somebody was to go to Africa, one of these liberals, and they would go and say, you're a woman, but you're not really a woman if you don't want to be a woman.
Yeah.
An African lady will look at you and she'll be like, what? And probably give you the,
no, it's really true what you say. It's like,
yeah,
it feels like in a lot of the West, at least, you get to a point of wealth where you can think about things like that, like, or like, and I mean, we're not going to go down that road on what we actually think personally, but like in general, like in just a cultural aspect, I feel like people who are like very aggressive about pushing this newfound knowledge about sex and gender and whatever, like I think a lot of people don't understand how much culture plays a part in the way people view that sort of thing.
Completely agree. Yeah.
And like I know I have to ask this question because it's 2 Black people having this conversation, and I am bound to have to ask you. And
on the West Side, bro, you can ask me anything, bro. Like,
and this video, I made a video about this, and it seems like it's a video everyone just goes to all the time. So I need your answer. Is, in your experience, have you felt, smelt, experienced any sort of racism being a Black guy living in Finland?
Whew, that is a very good question. I'd say pretty much everywhere that I've been in this entire world, I have felt some kind of discrimination, specifically race related, because there's different kinds of discrimination. It could be that I'm a guy, that they won't allow me to do this or something, whatever. But I have felt remnants of a little bit of racism. And remember, racism doesn't have to mean that it's being done specifically because somebody knows exactly what they're doing. Sometimes somebody is racist without even them knowing it. No matter how lighthearted it is, or no matter how casual it sounds, why I say it's racist, because it just shows a lack of understanding and inability to relate to a person who looks different. Uh, you know. So my first experience was when I was walking with Sophia in town after a night out of drinking.
And Sophia is your wife, just so
Sophia's
people,
wife,
yes.
Yeah, the missus, and we're walking in town after a night out of drinking, and these I think it was three Finnish guys were just walking past, also a little bit drunk, walked past us, and they would say, "Oh, hey, look over there, there's that N-word guy," So at that point, I didn't understand Finnish, but Sophia then got a little bit upset, and she translated it for me. And she says, "Oh, those guys just said that." So obviously, I was a little bit upset. There was some alcohol in my system. I wanted to start this whole thing, but she stopped me, and nothing happened at the end. But that was my first experience, and then I started to understand the whole situation here. Is that I don't think that there's a very deep and meaningful history of racial discrimination against Black people here in this country, not as much as there has been in South Africa or the United States or Great Britain. So the racism I'm experiencing here as a Black person is not as heavy in any shape or form as it has been in South Africa or any other place like the US or Great Britain. It's the difference is just too large because there's no history here of racial discrimination against Black people. Yeah, they'll say the N-word, but they don't understand the context behind it. They'll say it as just saying, trying to look cool and stuff like that. But then again, like I said, racial discrimination doesn't have to come from a place of knowing what you're doing. It's just the act itself already, so I have experienced that.
And that's quite interesting because I've tried to ask as many people who come from outside of Finland this question, and it usually ranges from two different places, or three different places. I'll say the one is yes, in fact, the whole country is built on racism, and then there's the oh yeah, every now and then, but I don't take it too personally. And then there's the last one, which is race. I've never seen it at all here.
Yeah. No, it's there. It's there. I mean, even you get the political party Perussuomalainen. I'm sure you've heard of that. They've released some stuff online. Whoa. Big question mark. But then again, I could choose to be offended, and I could choose to make a big thing about it. And I could choose to, harbor hate and let it feed on my soul and let it impede on me enjoying life. I try not to pay attention to that. I recognize it, but I don't give it any attention. And that's the trick. It's there, but I choose to not engage with it. I choose to not take that role of being so defensive. It's quite frankly, and on a personal level, it's very time consuming and energy consuming. I'd rather do better things like, better my career, make more money, make better friends, and just try to recycle as much as I can to make the world a better place. That's it.
I think you hit the nail on the head over there because us being from South Africa, we know what real intense racism is. Like Dave Chappelle says, he's like, it's the best kind. You can taste it.
I remember that. Yeah, yeah. So it's
Yeah, the race, yeah, the racism,
oh God, yes.
the racism in places in like South Africa, it's so in your face that you can't help but even respect the person that is. You're like, hey, yo, respect for just being honest.
Yeah, dude, it's the kind of it's so true, bro. Like that's so true.
Yeah, and the point I guess I'm trying to make is that in the end, because I'm going to say this to make my point, is when I make videos like this on here, from Finnish people, I see different sorts of comments. Okay, you get the one side who's just like, yeah, there's racism everywhere. I see it all the time, and it's so disgusting that we as a nation are not fighting more against it. Then you get the other one, same sort of thing, is like, yeah, I'm sure, racism exists everywhere, Yeah. And then you get the last one, which is like, racism, where's racism here? Go back to your country.
That to me is like that's unacceptable. I think
Yeah.
I think when you start having opinions like that, that's borderline delusion and not accepting the reality of the world that we live in today.
Yeah.
Because it's there and it exists and it's part of our it's one of the biggest social issues that we have in the world today. I've also had the opportunity to speak a lot of the Black friends that I have, very few of them, but Black friends that I have here in Finland that have grown up here in Finland. If you know what I mean, like,
wow, yeah,
whether it's refugee parents or adopted and stuff like that. And I've heard some of the stories, and it ranges from hearing about I got bullied a lot, because of my race, they did this. And I do understand the concept, I do, because once again, lack of understanding of something that looks different to what you are can cause a little bit of, confusion, especially if it's a child who doesn't understand things, and for some odd reason, I think children can be rather sociopathic sometimes. I think about high school, bro. Like,
yeah,
that's like a lot of the bullying that happened to me happened in high school, and that wasn't because I was Black. It was just because I was a little bit of a nerd in the first half of my high school life, and then it became cool and everything.
I think an important distinction to make is the fact that a lot of the quote unquote racism, at least for me personally, of course, you get the fringes, the people who just say stupid stuff, like the dudes when you're walking with Sophia. But I feel like a lot of the things that can come across really bad are just due to lack of knowledge, like how you were saying, like, I didn't grow up in America, obviously. So the N word for me, obviously, if you say it in a way that you're trying to get me to fight you or whatever, that might be different. But like most people who say it here, because I just look at them, I'm like, hey, bro, don't say that. You could find yourself in a really bad situation if you use that word with the wrong person, just for your own safety. Just don't do it. So I personally haven't found that it's like I'm sure I've gone in towns before where there's like I'm walking and then there's like a really say really old people who just look at me and they're like, or kids as well, like little kids, they can just be playing.
And then they stop when you're passing by.
Yeah.
That's happened to me a lot. Yeah.
But otherwise, tell me, because you've spent a lot of time in a town like Pori, which but
I did.
But what people don't know about you is that you're a fighter. Like, you do UFC, you train and whatever. And could you just kind of talk us through a little bit about, I remember when I asked you about racism in Pori, and then you said that although there were differences and whatever, once you got in the ring and you got to actually experience one another, that there was a respect that went deeper than the way someone looks and whatever. Could you walk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. I could tell you. So when I first came here, one of the things that I really aimed to, at least Sophia knew that one of the things that, we aimed to do was to find a gym first. Because for me, martial arts has been something that has brought a lot of balance in my life. A lot of discipline, the ability to just, commit to something. Throughout the years, I've had my struggles, but when I started getting more and more into martial arts, the more I learned about it, the more I found myself, so to speak. So now this kind of mentality is very much shared in the mixed martial arts community. I'm not the only person that experiences that. When I joined the gym here, it was like finding a new home, a group of people that I knew understood the state of mind that I was in, because they had the same. So not suddenly you're in an environment where everything is washed away. You're in the ring, you're on the mat, you're grappling, you're boxing, you're kickboxing, whatever, and it's just you and that person. Now it doesn't matter who's black or white in the ring. What matters is who's going to get knocked out first, or who's going to get knocked out first, and that's just the thing, and after that it's just about that aspect of you get up and you say, okay, why did I get knocked down? Why did I get choked out? I'd like to learn more, because martial arts is all about emptying your cup, all those mystical fancy words that you can think of. You empty your cup and blah blah blah, balance, this and that. Is really just about learning and the ability to want to learn. And that already solves the first issue that we're talking about, which is the lack of exposure and the lack of knowledge, which is the cause of discrimination, at least for the most of the time, So the reason why when I came to Pori and I didn't really experience that is because once I joined a gym here, I became part of the group. We were training, we do that. I had the privilege of being, published in the local newspaper here. When we were fighting, it was, we had that exposure. When you go, imagine in Pori, me as a black person, let me just tell you, this is a very countryside city. Me as a black person in Pori going to fight in the cage against another Finnish guy, and I had the entire arena chanting my name to win against this guy. You understand? Just because I was representing the local gym.
That's amazing.
So, that just, and all of them were white people, by the way. I'm so sure I was the only black guy there in the entire place, and I had the entire arena chanting for my name. But just because I knew a lot of them, and a lot of them had become, some of my good friends today, and even Sophia would say to me that, Raz, some of your friends are a little bit, like on the backside of the hood. And I'm like, these are my friends, and that's just what does it for me. So MMA brings balance not only to me, but in the immediate environment that I share with a lot of my training partners, and the same thing happened when I moved from Pori to the different city. Now it's the same story being replicated. People with a like-minded, driven mindset, share this unified sense of belonging that we all just can say, you know what, you and me, we're cool. We're like the yin and yang.
Mm-hmm. That's really that's really awesome. I love the way you kind of view it. So is it safe to say, because with the way the world is moving now, like in terms of, it can be about race, it can be about gender, it can be about whatever, but it seems to me, it's going to sound funny, but it seems to me that people have gotten soft like the way you've been explaining it, you're like, yeah, there's racism everywhere, but who cares? Like, I'm just gonna find my people. I'm gonna try and make connections that are deeper than that. Like, do you think that, like, because I do, like I said, racism is there, all these terrible things are there, but like, it sometimes comes across as if like, oh, someone looked at me bad, they are racist, and oh, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It seems like people are just like, yo, of course, you're in a country where there's mostly white people. Of course, you're going to look different. Of course, some people are going to think you perhaps don't belong there, but like, is that a reason to just like fold over and start crying about racism the whole time?
You know, you're absolutely right. Well, at least for me, I do believe that the world has gotten really soft. I think gender roles have been confused a great deal. There's not much clarity in you know, identification when it comes to, you know, gender selection. There's not much, you know, I mean, it really is just quite a disappointing thing. You know, from the times that I grew up, you know, where everything was so clear. You know, you used to be able to crack jokes, you know, and laugh about them. Now everybody's offended about very simple things. They want to, you know, things are complicated and blown out of proportion, you know, to the point where you feel like you shouldn't even be speaking at all, you know, or express yourself. And that is a very dangerous thing, because now we're getting to that point where it's becoming, you know, it's converting into this very the society that's like dictating human behavior. You know,
Yeah,
where's that sense of self? Yes, there's the cry for freedom, but freedom at the cost of controlling what everybody else should be doing or should be thinking. You know, just because somebody has a different opinion from what you have, uh, you know, then you must cancel them. You know,
yeah,
and it's a sad thing. You know, it really is a bit of a shame. Um, and I do think, and I'm not afraid to say, I do think that the world has become a lot softer in a sense.
yeah.
You know,
And I think part of the reason why I brought that question over is just because my answer to is there racism in Finland always comes back to this point. It's like, unless you are literally, you know, people are bringing out spikes and they want to hang you somewhere or whatever, like, you know, unless that is happening, the society in itself, you're free to do whatever the heck you want. You know, you're free to work as hard as you want and whatever. And in the end, I think it's mostly like, is there racism in Finland? Sure, there's racism everywhere. Um, but I feel like what I experience here is a hang of a lot better than what I experienced back home.
oh, dude, absolutely. You know, I mean, here I'm able to be, you know, and I guess to a certain degree, it's also about what you can take and what you can handle. Can you handle being the only Black person amongst a large group of white people? You know, yeah, I can. I can handle being the only Black person on the team. Yeah, I just got a sort of promotion at work, and you know, people wondering, oh my goodness, you know, like you're probably going to be the only Black person in this department. I'm like, yeah, I'm used to it. You know, I can handle it because there's no need to complicate it. Yeah, there might be one or two occasions where somebody will say something a little bit slippery on the surface, but I
Yeah.
can handle it. You know, I'm not soft.
You're not a racism policeman.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I'm not a
yeah,
yeah, I'm
yeah,
not I'm not going to police anybody. You know, everybody's allowed to express that. You know, I'll probably just stand and say, okay, you know what, that's what you think, and blah blah blah. But then over time, as they get to know me, and this is the other thing. This has happened to me many times here in Finland, where somebody clearly doesn't like me. I'm like, all right, just another Black guy, you know. And we go out drinking together. We have some conversation. It's like, you know, Raz, I've never, and this happened to me. Like, you know, Raz, uh, you know, I've never really been a big fan of like, you know, foreign people and Black guys, but I like you. You're a Black guy. I'm like, huh, well, you know, here we go. That
yeah,
says something. you know, and it's happened to me. I'm not going to name any names, but it's really happened to me, truthfully. And this has been one of those moments where you realize that, you see, if you just take a moment to just don't fight, don't argue, don't overcomplicate, just be yourself, be honest, uh, you know, pay your taxes and stuff like that, work hard, you know what
But
I'm saying?
but I guess to add, because I'm just clarifying for everyone, to add to what you said, I'm pretty sure you're not saying that you have to try earn other people's approval. You're basically saying by you just being yourself and not caring what the hell anyone thinks of you,
Yeah.
things just naturally turn to, like what you said, like an experience like that. Like, I mean, of course, people in general need to perhaps travel and see the world. And but I'm saying, but in situations like that, you didn't get offended or whatever. You just were like, hey, yo, I'm living my life, and hey.
Yeah, dude, because if you really were to look at the amount of good stuff that's happening in your life, you have more good things happening to you than bad stuff. So the day you choose to focus on these bad things, that's when, you know, shit is gonna hit the fan and you're gonna feel overwhelmed and you're gonna focus only the bad stuff. You know, I don't like Finland, I want to leave, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? You know, I've made it work for me here. You know, I have a beautiful wife, I have great friends, I have a great job, I'm paying taxes, oh my God. You know, and you know, it's just, you know, I'm playing my part in the economy. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do,
Yeah.
and I'm doing it happily. And I spend my money on things that I like doing. I take my lady out, you know, we have a good time, we travel to different places. Yeah, somebody will bicker here and there and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I'm having a good time. They want to focus on the negative shit in their lives. They want to focus on, oh, he's black, so I don't like him. So, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, hey, you know, you know what I'm saying?
No, I completely
I'm out
get you.
here having a good time.
And I think for everyone watching now, let us know if Raz should probably come on here at some point with Sophia, and then so I can ask them some in-depth questions about get your mind clean, all right?
You have to keep it PG. Can't tell you none about what happens in the other rooms, you know? I mean,
And in general, because we've got I think 5 more minutes of this, but I guess I'll just I'm trying to think about what the best question is to kind of round off this one. I think it would be, coming from South Africa and moving here and starting a new life here with your lovely wife. In what ways do you feel that Finland has changed you? Like moving here and coming to the furthest up north that you can that you can go. You know, yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about that.
Yeah, it's very
Like,
great.
in what way? I know we didn't get to chat about a whole bunch of other things, but we'll have another call to chat about some of the other stuff. Yeah. But like, how have you changed?
Well, I can tell you for sure that I have matured a lot. You know, I think it's just not, I have being given the opportunity to grow as a person without having to worry so much about the external materialistic things. Imagine growing up in an environment where you don't have to stress about, okay, when's my next meal going to come? Or am I actually going to get paid at the end of this month? You know, now I have the space to think about my mental health. I have the ability to work on my relationship, my marriage, to improve the relationship with my family. I don't have to worry so much about money anymore. I don't have to worry about, you know, the economy crashing anytime soon. I don't have to worry about, like, you know, getting robbed on the street the moment you decide to walk under a bridge coming back home from work and stuff like that. You know, everything is clear for me. I have a very, very clear mind, a clear line of sight, a clear career path. A lot of things have changed. I'm allowed to be a better person in more ways than I can think, being in a stable economy like Finland. And I have, the country to thank for that, and I also feel like one of the things that has also changed a lot about me is my desire to connect with other people. Being so far away from home, you take certain things for granted, like your family is always around you. You don't have to call them every day all of a sudden. But not being this far away, you suddenly crave that connection. You want to remember that you're part of a family, even though you're married, and yes, the in-laws are there. They're still your family. So I found myself, pursuing, uh, you know, relationships with my cousins, and improving the relationship with my father, and doing all those things just by virtue of being here. So I think Finland, in more ways than one, has, moving here has helped me grow as a person, period.
That's amazing, brother. That is so amazing. Is there anywhere people can like follow you if they want to see you kicking some ass?
Oh, dude, y'all just can go to my Instagram. I post quite a lot of material there. So it's
Sweet.
Rasberg1289 on Insta.
Razzle dazzle, razzle daddy. Well, all these
Daddy.
guys, let us know. Let us know below. Let us know. Let me know below if I should bring this dude back on. Yeah, dude, it's so amazing to talk to you. And after this, I'll call you on my phone so we can chat properly. But like,
I can't wait for that, because I got a lot of R18 stuff to just I'm holding back too much.
thanks, everyone. Remember to like and subscribe. Anyway, peace. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.